Romana Durham. So, how many of us have heard Donald Trump's outrageous comments about immigrants and terrorists in this country? And how many of us are still wondering why is he so popular in the United States? This is because most of America sadly does not possess a very important skill called intercultural competence. And hopefully during these next few minutes, we can learn a little bit about what intercultural competence is and its importance, how to practice it, and what to expect when you do. So to jump right in, according to Sabine McKinnon of Global Perspectives Project, intercultural competence is the ability to develop targeted knowledge, skills, and attitudes that lead to visible behavior and communication that are both effective and appropriate in intercultural interactions. What does this mean? This means not only being tolerant, but accepting and respectful of others who might be from different cultures than ours, and most importantly, being curious about them. Intercultural competence is important because it helps us combat racism, especially in diverse environments such as the US. Movements such as Black Lives Matter could definitely benefit from more Americans developing this skill because it helps promote tolerance and cultural sensibility. According to skillsneed.com, being interculturally savvy, being test, I'm so sorry. Being interculturally aware can help tremendously in both your professional and personal lives. At your workplace, if you are somebody that is competent in communicating and interacting with people from different backgrounds, it can open many different job opportunities, even in the international level. When traveling, it is more enjoyable to experience local cultures. And what if the love of your life is from a completely different ethnic background than you are? You're missing out, right? So with that being said, how does one become more interculturally aware? According to wikihow.com in their article, How to Communicate Well with People from Other Cultures, becoming more interculturally aware begins with adopting a flexible attitude. So developing an open-minded approach and lighthearted approach to strangers, and as I mentioned earlier, being curious of others and their backgrounds is a great place to start. One must also accept that there are individuals and groups and even whole nations that are completely different than you. And this is a good step to begin your research because, as Lindsay McCannon, author of Your Intercultural Communication Skills 5 Ways to Improve, advises to experience other cultures regularly. Just have some basic knowledge and understanding of those around you, especially those around you that don't look and sound like your family and friends. It's a fact that not many of us can travel abroad, but we all have internet access. So this can be a very helpful tool in researching cultures from around the United States and around the world. So now that we understand a little bit about how to employ this into our attitudes and lives, what can we expect during an intercultural exchange? And the following tips and tricks are all from the WikiHow article I mentioned earlier, How to Communicate Well with People from Other Cultures. So as I mentioned before, you can also log onto the internet and check this article out yourself. First of all, and more than anything, expect differences. In verbal communication, of course, different languages, but also in non-verbal communication. Much like our speech class, we always want to use open-handed gestures when expressing ourselves. You don't want to be pointing fingers, as you might offend somebody. Also, when meeting somebody for the first time, a handshake and a smile go a long way. And if you're not sure, the best advice is to mirror the person's body language, look for feedback, and don't be scared to ask questions. People are more friendly and open than you might think. Also, look out for hierarchies and social structures, which refers to the patterns around which a society is organized. So, for example, in the United States, Males can shake females' hands, but in Iran, it's considered very disrespectful. If in the United States a male doesn't shake a female's hand in a group of people, it might be considered sexist. So we always have to keep in mind those hierarchies and differences in culture. And if you're not sure, just ask. The final and most important tip that I say I picked up from this article was to be upfront about difficulties in communication because there will be misunderstanding and confusion. If you sense any misunderstanding, even in a joke, just address it by asking questions or offering to explain. So, something that I do if I see that maybe somebody didn't understand something as I intended it or as I said it, I always say, "Oh, I understand what you're saying, but I meant this, not this." Do you get it? And that helps clear the air because if you don't address misunderstanding and confusion, it can lead to problems later on in the conversation, or maybe you are by accident teaching somebody wrong customs and traditions of your own culture. So it's always nice and respectful to keep that in mind. So overall, I think those are the best tips and tricks to um, help ease anxiety in new intercultural interactions with others. And again, that article is very helpful, so you guys can go check it out. Overall, hopefully now we understand a little bit of what intercultural competence is, how to develop it in your own life, and what to expect when speaking to others from different backgrounds. If you think that it's okay to only communicate and identify and be curious about those that look and sound like you, then you're missing out, and maybe you should be listening to Mr. Donald Trump more attentively. Have a good day. Thank you for your time.